the first time ever to rehab, and rehab after rehab, I learned a little bit more. The next time I went was actually for depression, and not knowing that not having the alcohol after having it for 20 years causes severe depression. And I was just thinking, oh, I'm depressed. And this girlfriend that I had before I moved back to Michigan was pregnant. I was excited. I was going to drop it on the family at Christmas. She said, yeah, take the job. I'll move with you to Michigan. And so I moved back. She all of a sudden starts acting weird. She tells me she lost the baby and that she's not coming now. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to have to sell my house, and, oh, my whole life is ruined. But I didn't know if she had an abortion or if she had a miscarriage, and that drove me nuts. And the job I took in Benton Harbor, the station I started at, it wasn't the same management. It was not the same. The station was a mess. I took on more than I could chew, wasn't getting paid enough. It was just a perfect storm. And so I went away for depression. I realized that I will never know if it was an abortion or a miscarriage. I'll never know. And you know what? Just be thankful that I'm not paying child support for a kid I don't see. You know, there could be a kid in Arkansas right now that I don't even know. I'm just paying, you know, who knows? It could have been way worse if this woman, you know, was in my life. So I just accepted it. I got out, and the radio station's like, hey, here you go. You're suspended 2 weeks with no pay because you forgot to schedule music. I'm like, I didn't forget. You told me I could go. I scheduled music up until the time that I could. Like, what do you mean? And they're like, yeah, and you're demoted from being a program director. You're demoted from the morning show. I was like, what are you talking? Like, I told you guys I was depressed and I was going away for it. And you told me that you had my back. Go get help. We got you. I get out and this is how I'm treated. It took me a while to get over that one. I realized, though, that I didn't want to work for people like that. They weren't good people. I didn't need that in my life. But I did turn to alcohol to help me out through that, and then went back to rehab. Would go back to rehab. I would make it out 3-4 months and get into a relationship, back to rehab. I realized that I would try to fix other people. It's a lot easier than fixing yourself, you know. And this last relationship I was in, this whole total disaster. Like, we went on a date, and it's somebody who I liked, I went to school with, and really liked her, and I had 5 months sober at that point. Things were going good again. Right when you start, about 4 or 5 months, things going good, feeling good. Man, it's nice to have a couple dollars in my pocket. Yeah, I got this going on, man. Hey, girl. Oh, man, life's perfect. What? What do you mean you're a junkie? Oh, damn. Really? Heroin? I'll take you home. Dropped her off, and I drove home, and I remember thinking, that's too bad, man. I really like that one. And then the next day, after I had some time to justify it in my own head, I realized she just needs help. That's what she needs help. She needs my 5-month kind of help. I really know what's going on with this. And one thing I'll tell her not to do is not to quit. I'm not going to preach to her. She was hot, though, so it made it kind of different, too. And then the next thing I know, I'm like, well, if she's shooting up, I can drink. And then she found out about my liver failure, and she started flipping out on me. She's sitting there, you know, shooting up and telling me I can't drink. I was like, oh, that's stupid. She ended up quitting, though, switched to some other stuff, but that was very tough for me. And, you know, I had never been to jail. I went to treatment. I completed an IOP and a half, like 48 sessions, 3 times a week. Completed it, and then did a half of one, and I think I did another quarter of a one before it all just kind of came apart. But the time that scares me the most is when I was at my house. I remember seeing the Brady Bunch, and people would always say, and if there's drinkers in the room, you know what I'm talking about. You know, do you have any hallucinations? Do you ever see anything, hear anything? And I'm like, how would I know? Like, how would I know? Wouldn't I think that was real? No, when the Brady Bunch was in my apartment, man, I knew it wasn't real. And I thought it was like one of the coolest things. It was like, wait a minute, like the Brady Bunch, I know it's not real, but they're walking through my apartment. Like, this is some crazy. I don't even watch the Brady Bunch. I don't know what was going on. So that was pretty freaky. And that was one of the last things I remember. But I remember the cop talking to me, and I was outside in my apartment. I remember it felt like I was driving my car, but I wasn't sure. But my car was right there next to me. I was in my parking lot of my apartment building. And the cop just has this look on his face like, I don't even know what to do. My mom had called so many wellness checks that the Buchanan Police Department was like, we don't know what to do. Like, it's not illegal for him to drink. As long as he doesn't say he's going to kill himself again, you know, we can't do nothing. He's a grown man. And it drove my mom nuts. But this cop's looking at me like, I don't know what to do. And this guy's yelling at me, telling me that he saw me driving and then I could have killed somebody. And I was like, what are you talking about, man? I was like, that was a girl driving. He's like, no, buddy, I saw you get out of the car. Well, go ask the girl. And the cop's like, well, who is it? I'm like, I don't know, man. She's in there. Maybe that's her boyfriend. Maybe he's mad, you know? Started playing that game with the cop. And I told the cop that he couldn't take me to jail. And that's when he took me to jail. Put the handcuffs on me. It was like, and he didn't breathalyze me because he knew that if he would have breathalyzed me, that I would have blown over and they would have had to take me to the hospital. Because anything over 0.25, you got to take to the hospital. You can't. But so they didn't. And when he took me to the jail, and I didn't realize it at the time, but the guy, big, tall, black guy, and he was mean. Some people in this room might know who it is, but the people in the jail were like, oh, yeah, that guy, he smokes crack and he does this and that. I'm like, all right. But he started to breathalyze me, and he was like, oh, I can't get it to work. And then just threw me in the drunk tank where I had fun for a minute. And then I realized I was in my pajama pants and like T-shirt. I was like, what am I doing? Like, I don't know where I was going. Like, I don't remember any of it. And I'm glad that I didn't kill anybody. But I don't smoke. So I didn't need cigarettes. I had a half gallon sitting on the counter. Like, there was no reason for me to go anywhere that night. And somehow God allowed me not to kill anybody. But when I got out of jail, I was so embarrassed. And knowing that my name was going to be in the paper was a tough one. And I drank some more. And this time I started on a Friday and I woke up on a Wednesday. I didn't know it was Wednesday. My mom was like, you going to pay your rent? And I told her, yeah, I'm going to pay it Monday. She's like, isn't 2 days ago? I'm like, what? I looked at my phone and I was like, like, where did those days go? I don't remember a thing from any of those days. It was like 6 or 7, maybe 8 half gallons empty. That means I went to go get those. Don't remember a thing. Maybe there was somebody partying with me. I don't remember. I don't know. And the cops came over that time, and of course I was out on bail. So they took me back to, well, they couldn't take me to jail because I still blew over that time. They took me to the hospital. Came out of there, had to go to court for my original OWI charge. And they, put me back in jail for another week. I got out on Christmas Eve of last year. So what a difference a year makes. I came to Bear River Health. It's where they sent me for treatment. And it changed my life, man. Every time I would go to treatment before, though, I would be there, like I said, a week, and it would be, I know it. I'm done. I got this. Like, I know all the tools. But something about here, first of all, I was ordered to be here, so I couldn't just leave. I had 90 days here is what they told me. And I just kind of buckled in and just rode with it. And that's one of the things that I tell people all the time, stay as long as you can, even if you don't want to. When I was supposed to get out of treatment, though, right before, though, it was around the 60-day mark, and they have to do extensions every 30 days from the region I'm from. Even though it was already approved, she still had to put in the extension, my therapist. And she called me up to her office and told me that she wasn't going to put it in because I wasn't taking it serious. Because one thing I had learned is I couldn't go around moping about being in recovery anymore. I had to be out there doing it. And I think that's one of the things that I was missing so much with the previous ones, because I would, everything sounds good. And then I would get out there and I would try to hide in the shadows still. I'm proud now to be in recovery. I'm proud that, my friends and family know. Yeah, they already knew I drank, It was no secret to them. But now to be proud to not drink, to not do drugs, it feels great. And that's something that I learned here. But she had told me, though, I wasn't taking it serious, so I was pretty much told I couldn't stay. And I was kind of shitting my pants because I was like, well, I got to call my probation officer. I don't know how this is going to go. And I called her, and she said, all right, well, report. Well, first she said, why? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, maybe because I'm doing so good. And she was like, okay, well, report the next day when you get out. All right, cool. Did that. So then was told, well, you can stay 90 if you want. I was like, I'm good now, which is a miracle because I went home and I got to see my grandfather, who I didn't know. I know he wasn't doing good when I came here, but I didn't know what had happened. I didn't really talk to my family much while I was in here. I wanted to focus on me and having fun, apparently. But when I got out, my mom was like, yeah, he's not doing good. So I went to go see him. And 3 days later, I was to come back here to live in a sober living house. And I remember I went to Kalamazoo to get a new phone. It didn't work, but I had to go back, and I had to bring my mom's stuff with me. So I took it there. I got the new phone, went back, and I was coming back up here, and I realized I had my mom's ID. Damn it. So I had to take it back to her, and she was at the hospital with my grandfather, which I did not plan on seeing one more time. I saw him the day before, and it was too much. They'd stopped feeding him in the hospital a few days before, and he just looked like he was at a Nazi concentration camp or something. I mean, he looked so bad. And I remember I got to see him one more time, and I told him that I loved him. And an hour and a half onto my trip to Boyne City, my mom called and said he had passed away. So, I mean, everything happened for a reason. Everything happened for a reason. For me driving that night, I don't even remember, to actually helping. It helped me that I drank when I was out on bail, because if I wasn't, they wouldn't have sent me here. They would have sent me through the IOP program again. Oh, you're fine. You haven't drank in a month. Well, no, I was in jail and I was on tether. Like, what was I supposed to do? But the fact that I did, they were like, okay, you do have a severe problem, so you do need to go up there. So everything happens for a reason. And starting the 217 Recovery podcast, getting all that from while I was in here, I was in room 217. Some people are probably wondering why that's 217 Recovery. I was in room 217, and the guys and I were in those rooms. We would talk, have deep conversations at night. Like, the stuff we would listen to and hear it was okay. But the stuff I actually had to deal with, like our feelings, those are what we talked about. And those feelings and thoughts, action, reacting, anger, the stuff that we processed in 217, it was great. And so we got out and we played a lot of games. They would call them the 217 games. What's going on? Oh, Corey and those guys, they're just playing those 217 games again. Okay. So it kind of took, and we've been at all kinds of rallies, conventions for recovery. I mean, I was out of here like a month, and we were down there in Lansing on the steps with our tent and our table. And people are just like, who are these guys? And because I know what I'm doing, and I'm not afraid to take that leap. Like Joyce told me, F those guys, those people that are hating, those people that don't get it. You can do anything you want as long as you're sober. Like, if you want to play around, you want to do some stuff, that's fine. Maybe you're not ready, and that's fine. I've seen that a lot too. Some people just aren't ready. I've seen people too not give up. I didn't give up trying. My family didn't give up on me. And the things that I put my mom through, the things I put my sister through, I was showing somebody a video of my nephews today, and they were cooking. And I started like kind of tearing up, because I remember it brought back memories when they were that age, when my sister had to pick me up and take me to the hospital. And she had this trash can. I'm riding shotgun with her, trying not to puke all over. And my nephews are in the back seat, 3 years old, going, Uncle Corey, are you okay? And I mean, that kills me. And that my sister had to see that, and they had to go through that, and the things that I put them through. And my mom, I didn't realize this, but when I would go to a store, I would feel like, oh, people are looking at me. Well, my mom went through that same thing. Being on the radio down there in a small area, people know who I was, and they would know my mom, and they would come up to her and be like, yeah, is Corey still drunk? Like, they didn't know how it worked. And my mom said she's heard it all, from you need to give up on him, you need to just kick him out, you need to not help him, he just needs to die. He's hurting you. She had a therapist tell her to just let me die. And my mom was like, I couldn't do that, I couldn't just give up. She's like, I know you're good, I know you're a good person, and I can't just let you die. Like, I don't know. And I never knew until I actually did the podcast with my mom how much she actually went through, and my sister went through. And I had no idea. I had no idea that she hated going to the store because she was afraid of who she was going to run to. I was going to ask her about her son who's a drunk. And did he go to jail yet? That's what it's going to take. She said she heard it all, man. And A lot of the issues though that I have, I'm still dealing